Hello, this is Jorgie Franks with Jorgie Incorporated, and you are listening to Conversations with Pearl.
Hello, sunshine, good to see you again. Had to walk out to let you back in. Stuck in a storm of a relationship. Lost my fire. Oh, and I forgot about me for way too long. But it's rolled on. Now there ain't no shade around here. Once you leave the clouds, you're under. Ain't it funny how there ain't no rain or clear? Why'd it take so long to leave you in the rearview mirror? Now nobody gonna steal my sunshine or turn my blue sky gray. All I know is at the end of the day, wildflowers grow when there ain't.
Hey, everybody. I am so excited to have you here today with Conversations with Pearl, another episode. And I'm excited because I get to introduce you to my amazing friend. Her name is Jorgie Franks, and we are both here in the Riverview, Tampa Bay area. I've gotten to know Jorgie over the past few years, and she is an amazing person, had a lot of stuff happening over the past year of her life. So she's going to share with us, but just want to share a little bit about Jorgie. She has been in sales and leadership for over 20 years, which includes helping with territory management, cold calls, call center, knocking on doors, retail sales, and sales management. Who is not, afraid of some of that? She has worked with companies like Samsung, Coca-Cola, Microsoft, BARBIZON Modeling. She's worked with Jarrett, the Galleria of Jewelry, Victoria's Secrets, and almost 2 years served at the Greater Barrington Chamber of Commerce as Director of Membership. Jorgie is the owner of Jorgie Inc., where she uses that expertise that she's had to teach you how to increase your sales, how to build relationships. As a speaker, she also teaches others how to shed heavy burdens and shed light on your truth. And boy, has she done some shedding over the last year and a half, 2 years. In addition, Jorgie is a community leader, which involves the Greater Barrington Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. She's also proud to lead the Gold Girls Club. She's a board member with Women Centered for Success. She's Christian Education Director at Lakewood Community Church of God, board member of Kiwanis Club of Greater Barrington. She's also a board member of Campo YMCA and a board member of Visions of Destiny. I want you to please help me welcome my dear friend, Jorgie Franks. Hi, Jorgie. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. As always, with you, Pearl. It's full of energy, full of excitement, and thank you for that great introduction.
You are welcome. So let's talk about some of your background. First of all, tell us about who you are and tell us about your family. I want to start there. You've got two amazing daughters. I'd love you to share with our audience.
Yes, I have Taylor and Maya. So if you're out there and you have a Taylor, you already know what it's like raising a Taylor. It's a lot of work. And she is now 18. She is in college. She just got a full-time job. Like, she is really grown up on me. And I almost feel like an empty nester. So it's pretty exciting to have a grown-up child. I actually had Taylor when I was in college. I was a junior in college, and she came into my life and she made me into the person I am today. A lot of life lessons, and I'm super excited about Taylor. Then I have my 13-year-old Maya, who is very sweet, very loving, very gifted, straight A student, very artistic. And she is the one who's reminding me I'm not an empty nester and I'm her baby. I mean, she's my baby and she wants to make sure that I let her stay the baby, so she's milking it for all it's worth. So those are my kids. I also have my parents who are very active in my life. My brothers, I have two brothers. Both are younger than me, so I'm the oldest. So I am definitely a family girl. I love family, and I try to create a family atmosphere whenever I'm around. I try to be the person in the room who knows everybody, who makes everyone feel comfortable and welcomed, and inclusion, and that whole bringing people together, gathering people. That's definitely one of my love languages, kind of one of my gifts and talents. So
That's awesome. And you have amazing girls. And for those that are listening, I've had the pleasure of having Taylor come. If you've been listening for a while, you know, I've downsized my house almost a year ago now. I can't believe it's been almost a year. And Taylor and her friend helped me like purge and help me clean. And she was just amazing. And it was great having conversations with her about the future and what life was going to bring. Right. And I could see a lot of Jorgie in our conversations. You could hear her mom had planted the seed and Taylor was thinking about those seeds that have been planted, about the future and things like that. So I'm so proud of you as a mom and what you've been doing with both of your girls. Maya, oh my gosh, she's such a sweetheart. And I can see where she wants to make sure she stays the baby.
Yes, she is committed to being the baby and being like the only child, Phil. And you have been an instrumental friend in helping them grow. You know, I definitely believe that it takes a village to raise a child, and Pearl is definitely somebody you want in the village with you, because conversations with Pearl for children, that might be the next series, but she definitely has an impact on kids and knows how to frame things so that they understand and supports, you know, the parents and what the lessons they're trying to teach their kids.
Well, I'm excited because near the end of the show, we'll talk about some of those things around our kids. Because I don't know if you've even seen my Facebook post the last 24 hours, but we got something fun that's coming. I'm excited we're going to talk about that near the end of the show. But let's take a step back, Jorgie. I want to walk back about 2 years ago. You had a big change in your life was happening, and you had to make some big decisions, which led you coming to, you know, circling back with your folks and getting some support and having that, you know, that family support, which we all know is so important, that when we're going through things in our life, to have that support system, whether it's your family, whether it's your tribe, whatever that is. But you went through quite a bit about 2 years ago, and you did a shed. Would you like to share with everybody what that shed was? And if there, some of our listeners are probably going through or about to walk through the same thing you did. And so empower on them why you chose to do this shed. It's an amazing story, you guys. And then also, what would you say to the ladies that are listening right now that are about to take that same walk that you did?
Ooh, well, about 2 years ago, while sitting in November of 2019, while sitting in the living room, my husband told me that he wanted to leave. It was not something I was expecting. We have problems just like normal people have problems in relationships, but nothing serious to the point where I thought our marriage could be ending. And along with that, you know, he ended up really not able to leave, but I knew that I could. And what I was feeling was that the stress of the relationship of me, of his family, his children, the pressures that he was facing in life, with all the things, was really kind of having him in a place where he needed to be alone, where he wanted separation. And I called home to my mama and I said, Mama, my daughter is going into the senior year. Look, if I come home this time, it's going to be home for a while. And I knew I was leaving most of my stuff behind in the house with him. And I didn't know what the future held. So I got this revelation during this transition of the shed. Now, the shed, the word shed means a lot of things. I actually felt as though I should Google it, you know, kind of look at the Hebrew and the Greek or whatever I was in at that moment. And the shedding means to cover like a shed over your head, to weep because you're shedding tears, to bring to light, as in shedding light, to cause to appear, shedding blood, pain. And then also, one of the renditions of shed is to shine, to give light, to enlighten, to bright up. So what I did was a 3-month shed, and that November of 2019 was all about separating and dividing, purging, getting rid of stuff, getting ready for the move. And I was really hoping he would stop me. Like, I was like, maybe he'll see me moving the stuff and be like, please don't leave me. But that's not what happened. He was like, let's shed this bank account. Let's shed this. Let's make sure we're fully separated. And I was like, okay. So this was painful. Of course, I can talk about a lot easier now. Then it was more like a blog where some of my friends and closest family could see what was unfolding, not something I shared on a public stage, but more personal. And then the second month was about the truth, the truth kind of manifesting itself, so I would know what the truth was, like what was going on with him, what was going on with us, and what the future held. And then the third month, which would have been January 2020, right prior to the pandemic, was shedding light and lightening and coming into the new year fresh and new. So I kind of thought within 3 months, we would know if we were moving forward or not, but we didn't. It took another 9 months to really come to the conclusion that we were going to get a divorce. So
I'm sure there was a lot of emotions behind that. I mean, I was with you. I was walking. I remember, remember conversations we had and all that. And then, I can imagine as, going through and separating stuff and dividing stuff and shedding bank accounts, like you said, and all that. So sort of stuff, that emotion that was there, that emotion. I just love her. And she's showing my branded cup. You're such a great girl, great friend. But and that's the thing about you, Jorgie. Like, I remember conversations with us through that. And even though you were going through that, and for the listeners here, it's very heavy. Like Jorgie said, there was lots of emotions going on. But the one thing that I do love about what you do and how you approach life, Jorgie, is you try to always find that silver lining. Like, I think you always look, and you and I are both Libras. We'll talk about that in a moment, but we're both Libras. And I think for us, what we have in common is we both kind of look at that glass half full. We know we got to walk through this crap, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got to get through this stuff. However, we know that there's a fullness to it, right? That it's not all about, oh, woe is me. There's a reason why God's walking us through this path. There's a reason why we have to learn these lessons, and as we go through that shedding that you did, you were taking into account the lessons you were learning. And then, like you said, you went to January with this light. Yes, it took another 9 months to finish everything up. But I remember at that time, around that January time, you did have this renewedness to you, like this newness of, this is going to be a great year. Who knew pandemic was coming? But even through that, like, you persevered through everything. And so for somebody that's listening right now, that's in the middle of their shed, or about to make that big decision, because Christmas time comes around and the holidays come around, and that's a big time where I don't know what the statistics are, but there's a big time of divorce and separations. What would you say to that lady, that woman that's listening to us right now, that's about to make that decision to make a shed in her life? What would you say, if looking back, what would you have told your old self at that time to be prepared for better?
Well, this was my second divorce. So the first divorce, or the first separation or whatever, I kind of just threw down everything and tried to go after my marriage with 100% of me, and whatever I had to lose, and that was everything, I did. So I learned from the first experience that when you're going through life's trials, don't make like those sudden, harsh, drastic decisions. It's not a good time to be making huge moves, making huge decisions, because there's a lot of pain and trauma that has to be dealt with. And I chose to get counseling. I had a counselor, a marriage counselor. I had my self-coach, self-love coach, Pearl. I had my forgiveness coach, Stephanie. I had my family coach, Lori Richens. I had about 7 different coaches, literally making sure that I was holistically thinking of everything. Because in the first divorce, I lost my hair, I gained weight, I lost everything. I lost my car, my house, everything. I went through bankruptcy. Like, this second time, it was like, oh no, I'm not going to lose everything, including myself, for 9 years. This time, I'm going to be slower, be methodical, and make sure that I am in a good place to make big decisions. I had my mentor, which we both know, Carol Gill, and I had a lot of spiritual support with my church. So I was not playing with this, y'all. I took it very serious, and I was ready to do whatever work it took to either save my marriage or walk away from it. And I wanted to be able to do it with a clear mind and with confidence. And so if anyone's out there in a situation where they're in this place where they have to make a decision, I would tell you, if you're in current pain, trauma, confusion, wait to make big decisions till you are shored up and you know who you are in this moment and whose you are in this moment, and you are completely sure that you're ready to make life-changing decisions like divorcing your husband or moving or, just shifting your family, all of the pieces. Because if you don't, you could be holding on to the pain and the trauma for years and not even have a clue that it's still there. And that was not what I wanted to do. I wanted to know I was clear and I can move on with my life with peace and harmony and confidence.
I love that. Like that advice of having that clear mind. And I think too, you mentioned as well as, and if you're not sure, get that support, whether you reach out to a friend, a mentor, a coach, whatever that might be, reach out to that support, because then you have somebody that can, give you the, so what? If you do this, then what? And it can walk you through those questions. And if you don't have those answers, then to slow it down, like you said, like, don't rush into it, make sure that you're going through it methodically, you're shedding slowly as you did, and finding those steps and then getting that support, I think is so, so powerful. So I'm so proud of you. I mean, you definitely have, in that last year and a half, and then you had pandemic come in there, like all this stuff was happening in your life, right? So it's just kind of was a lot of stuff happening, but for me, watching you too, you always stay positive. And I think that's a great example of what you gave to your daughters too. You show them that even through challenges in life, you can still look at the glass half full. You can still, there's support out there. You're not alone, right? And I think that is a great example that we should give all of our young adults that are out there, which now that leads me to what you do with the Gold Girls group. I just think it's so powerful how you bring us together. I get the benefit at least once a month with you and, come and be involved in that. And so share with us your vision, like how did that come about? Because I don't think I know that story about how did you decide to bring these group of women together, and what was on your heart that said, we need this?
Well, the first book that I ever wrote was called You Goal Girl, the GOAL. And so back, a couple years after it was released, that was when Facebook groups were coming out. And I was like, maybe I'll put all my friends in the Gold Girls Club and we'll be Gold Girls and we'll set goals together and we'll achieve goals together. And so that was before groups were a group, and they had all these rules and stuff. This was just my girlfriends. And I just started putting them in there. The closest people to me at every stage or walk in my life were in the Gold Girls Club because they didn't know what a group was either. So they just came on along. And so as time has gone by, it's grown. And it is still some of my closest friends. And it's kind of evolved to people who have been encouraged by me. So they tell people, hey, come into this place. She'll really encourage you, kind of thing. And her group is inclusive and they want to encourage people and set goals. So it's kind of evolved that way. And so what I've done over the years, one year, it was just about bringing your dreams to the world. So we had a blogger, we had a podcaster, we had a video specialist, like a dreamer. We had all these different speakers who came every month just to help women to use their voice, to bring their dreams to the world, whether they use writing, social media, authoring, whatever it was. And so this year, we've been doing Better Questions, Better Life, really working with the introverted souls of my life who, definitely want more time with each other and me. So I said, well, let's set a coffee once a month where I invite you guys and we just spend time together. We talk about real life questions and things that will bring up issues. And sometimes it feels almost like a ministry because no one's like teaching or telling you what you have to do with your life. Is really just conversation, kind of like just loving each other and being there for each other. And so it really doesn't have that huge educational component to it that I've done in the past. This year has really been about just opening up and being vulnerable with each other and just, finding that common ground that will get past a lot of obstacles.
So we're on LAN doing networking. you know where I'm going next, right? So we're on land, we're networking, you bring all these women together. And then Jorgie doesn't stop there. Georgie's like, let's do things differently. And she brings us on the water. Now, I haven't had a chance to go because of my schedule, which I'm looking forward to the next
You've
one.
never been?
No, because my schedule hasn't allowed me. So I'm excited for the next one. So now she brings us on the water. And Jorgie has this great way of, one of the things I think we have in common too is connecting. But one thing Jorgie is really cool about is thinking outside the box. How can I connect businesses together with other local businesses and then bring some exposure to these other businesses? And so tell us about your networking afloat.
Okay, so my company, Jorgie Inc., partnered with the Freedom Boat Club to be able to network on pontoon boats. So how that started was just a friendship of me and the district manager and us saying, why don't we go out on the boat together? And I asked her, is it okay if I bring a couple of my friends? Like, I think that's what I always do, is try to bring people together. And I brought like 4 or 5 of my friends, and she was so happy to meet my friends because they're all so amazing. And she was like, oh my God, can we do this again next month? And so I invited those friends, but then I also included more friends. And then the boat was overfilled and we had to send people away because I missed one friend. And so then she was like, oh my gosh, that can never happen again. So then she went to 2 boats, and then we filled the 2 boats, and then she went to 3 boats. Then she went to 5 boats. Then she went to 4 boats. So, okay, every month we continue to fill boats of people who want to connect, of all different backgrounds, all different occupations, all different entrepreneurship categories. And we create tables on the water where people can do business, do life, do conversation, and connect on a deeper level. I think a lot of times when you network in person, it's in some room, people feel like an outcast, but on a boat, it's usually just 8 to 12 people. And then you're connecting with nature, water, which helps a lot of people stay grounded and reflect and feel more comfortable. And so I'm finding that it is really good for my introverts to have a smaller type of place where quality business owners are there and really are able to flourish, like shine bright. And so I'm able to build bridges in the community. And that's what I really want to do in my life. I want to build bridges, and I don't want to put any limit on what that looks like. So if we have to take it out of the boardroom and onto the pontoon boat, we're going to do that.
And I love it. I take that back. I did try to go one time, but remember it rained on us. So
yes. Okay. That's what it was.
Because and here in Florida, if it's raining and lightning, we don't go on the water. So, but yeah, so I think it's a great thing. It actually reminds me of my, for those of you who are listening to Conversations of Pearl today, we're actually starting a Conversations of Pearl on the road, and we're looking for fundraisers, for sponsorships. So if you're listening and are interested, my goal is to take us and bring us nationally, right? To come from Tampa to maybe we did it. We on our way to our last retreat. You were with me. We did it. We stopped in Atlanta, and to connect business network groups of women together across the country, which we'll talk about another episode. But if you're interested in learning more, just DM me or respond back. But so we've gone on the water. And then Jorgie is, I'm honored to call Jorgie an ambassador. We do these, if you've been listening to our podcast, we do these pajama retreats every year. And so Jorgie has been my speaker ambassador the past 2 years. And so Jorgie, tell us about that role, what you do, and then also tell us what has it enabled you to do as far as with your business, and how has that changed any connections you've had through that time?
Absolutely. Since I started with the retreats and being the speaker ambassador, I feel as though it has allowed me to meet a lot of really powerful women. I've also been able to help and serve with Pearl and Women Successful Living in a special way. As an ambassador, you get to take Pearl's vision and try to bring it to life. If she says, I want this type of speaker, you have to kind of search your Rolodex and search LinkedIn, search the globe, really, because Pearl has no limits, to try to find the right speakers and allow for the correct type of moments at the retreat. It's definitely not easy to recruit and find speakers. However, I believe that it is really a rewarding role to be the speaker ambassador, because those speakers, some of them, it's their first time on stage. They've never had the courage to get up there and do their thing. And when they see themselves on the stage, it's like they believe they can do anything. So Pearl gives that light for them in that center stage and that moment where they can shine. And I think I love being part of it. And I just love serving in that capacity. And I've tried some of the other roles that Pearl has, and speaker ambassador's still my favorite.
And it's a blast having you. And for those that are listening, being a speaker at our retreat means you have to what, Jorgie?
You have to do it with no makeup. And you have to kind of bare your soul. Like, you don't come to Pearl's retreat to stay the same. You don't come there to give an ordinary, story. You are there to bare your soul and to help somebody else bear theirs and be vulnerable. So
you're in your no makeup and you're in your PJs, right?
Absolutely. In your PJs. And let me tell you, it is an amazing experience to lay in your PJs for days. Love it, love it, love it. And you also get presents.
Yes, I love having you part of our ambassadors. And it's been a blessing. So tell us what's upcoming for Jorgie and Jorgie Inc. What's coming down the horizon? What's the next year look like? And 1 year from now, tell us also what's happening.
Girl, you put me on the spot. Okay, so I'm really good at helping other people vision their business for a year to 5 years. But on my radar is definitely traveling, speaking about self-confidence, and speaking on stages about sales and how to bring your dream to the world through networking and being your authentic self in person. I definitely think on the horizon, it may be some social work, like as far as social services, as far as advocacy. I'm seeing a lot of workforce development that needs to be done. I see that, people need laborers, they need employees in the business world. And I see myself getting real hands-on with that, because there needs to be some connecting that needs to be done. And I'm the connector. I should call myself the chief connector, because I'm going to do whatever it takes. Like I've gone on Uber rides and recruited people out the back seat before for my clients, for businesses. I am not too proud to try new things. And so I believe that image is important, but I also believe that there's some conversation that needs to be had upon what is the difference between community perception, what is the difference between branding, and what is the difference between being authentic. So I'm guessing that conversation is going to have to be started by me, Jorgie Franks. So I'm going to be having that conversation quite a bit. And I don't know if my Facebook followers and Instagram followers and everybody's ready for it, but I'm expecting to lose some friends, and I'm okay with that.
So I think you bring up something I was talking with somebody earlier today with too. And that is that I feel like, and I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but we were talking earlier today about why I'm doing the Conversations with Pearl on the road. Like as for those that are listening and maybe haven't heard, we're going to take a vintage trailer and we're going to convert it into a mobile living room. And the goal is to go from city to city to city and connect women together. And we're going to connect them through business swag bags. So we might be leaving Tampa and maybe go to Atlanta and we bring swag bags to Atlanta. And then maybe our next stop is DC. So the Atlanta swag bags go to DC, we go to New York, those will carry on. Maybe our last stop is Dallas, we come back home. The Dallas ones will come back to the women here in Tampa that have donated. And I feel like it's like, I just know that God said 2022 is going to happen. Because I feel like with COVID, and I don't know what you're seeing, but in the women that I'm coaching, and as we're having these one-on-one and these group coachings, I'm hearing more and more that with COVID and the homeschooling that had to happen, that the relationships, the spouses that, or partners, they had to decide, okay, my husband makes the bigger income. So he's got to be the one that cannot give up any of his time at work. So I have to. So I might have gotten laid off, or I had to take a role backwards from my job so I could be that mom. And I kind of feel like we've gone a little backward in the ages of time, right? To where like my granny and maybe your grandmother, they're always home, right? Mom was at home and she was the housekeeper and she did all that stuff. I feel like we've gone a little backwards with that. So I feel like this Conversations with Pearl is such an important need. And the coaching that I'm seeing and I'm doing is, how do we bring ourselves back post-COVID to the woman doesn't have to be the one that's at home taking care of everything, you know? Yes, we have some homeschooling going on. We're dealing with all the, you know, if they've got an outbreak at school, who stays home, right? I feel like we need to bring us back as women. You know, I'm not here to say I've got this woman movement happening or anything like that, but I do feel like there is a movement that needs to shift back to where we had gotten to, because I feel like we've had a little bit shift backwards because of COVID. What are your thoughts on
that? So I believe that there is something that goes on everybody's heart that burns a little fire. And sometimes it's a big fire. It's like this burning desire that I have to do something about it. And I think that what you're being called to do and asked to do, and your brain and your mind and everything is telling you to do it, is what you must do. So it is not what is on my brain or heart or anybody else's. That's why it's your responsibility to do it. Now, all of us will get behind you and get your back and support you because we're your friends and we believe in your vision. But it is definitely something for you to do. And, you know, it's definitely identifying a need and filling it. And that is what, you know, we're put on this earth to do, to bring solutions and to make other people's lives better. And being that you're a leader, you're saying, in 2022, we're getting in the bus and we're going to help women all across this nation. And nothing is going to stop me. Because even if it doesn't happen in 22, guess what? 2023, I'm coming for you. You see what I'm saying? So there's nothing that's going to stop you because you have that fire, that clear vision of what it is you're supposed to do. And that's the type of leaders I like to follow. I like to follow leaders who have a point of view, who are willing to step in the front and guide the way, versus somebody who is wavering and scared and afraid and not sure. And sometimes those leaders just need that, you know, kick in the butt from Jorgie, but sometimes it'll come out later. But I feel as though you're walking exactly in line with what is needed in the future.
Thank you, darling. I think that's what you and I both, we see that in not only ourselves, but we see that in other women and other, you know, even men. You know, for those that are listening, that's a male, you know, we're not discounting you at all. We know you know, they all have those challenges as well. You know, but I really feel like you said, I feel like there's this need. So I can't wait to get in this mobile living room, as I'm calling it. We're not going to sit in a brick and mortar. We're going to sit in a living room. We're going to talk. What's on your mind? What's on your heart? Why are you not moving forward? What's keeping you from moving back? Where do you need help? And connecting. And it could be connecting with Jorgie. It could be connecting with, we both know Carol Gill that does the disc profile. There's different areas that we can connect you with. So
hold us accountable as your ambassadors. I have my own following, you know, so if you're going to be in Virginia, like I need to put out Call to Virginia. All my friends in Virginia, Pearl's going to be there. She's going to be doing conversations. You need to join in. You need to get out there and let's bring the troops together and build that community around that living room, because it does take a sacrifice to lead from the front and to go out there and do something that potentially isn't being done. So I applaud you and I root for you, and you know, any way I can help, I'm there.
Yep, I know. And we're, you know, and back at you. I think the great thing I love about it is our tribe and our ambassadors. We've got a lot of great cheerleaders. So I love it. So let's talk about, you and I had something in common. We're still in October, so it's not over yet. So you and I have had something in common this month. I have a little bit more aging on mine than what you have.
You got a little more seasoning.
There you go. Thank you. We both had birthdays this month. So mine was October 20th. Yours was the 16th,
14th,
right? 14th. So tell us, you had the big 4-0. I had the 5-7, which 57, Heinz 57. I got all kinds of jokes about it, but I used to my granny. I remember growing up, my granny. I'd be like, "It's happy birthday, Granny." She's like, "Oh, I'm getting so old." I'm like, "You're only as old as you feel. I only feel like 30, so I'm happy with my age, right?" But
exactly.
you had a big number this year. You had the big 4-0. So tell us about that. Tell us some lessons that you learned through that birthday, and just kind of share with us what are you looking for over the next, let's say, to year 50. Let me put that big number out there. So,
all right. So I call it version 4.0. And through version 4.0, I definitely learned a lot. I was actually at the retreat. I went to 2 retreats, right? Like this Pathway to the Wellness retreat, and then like this retreat in the mountains. And I had a lot of things that came out of the retreats. The first retreat was like this huge, like kind of what I need to do before I'm 40, or what tasks need to be, shed kind of things. And then when I came to the retreat with Women Successful Living, it was really close to my birthday. So I was in a lot of reflection mode coming back from the retreat about working out my own stuff, like what do I really want to stand for and be about in this world? And I really had a problem focusing. Like I couldn't work. I just needed to journal to get things off my task list. I was preparing for a big move. This was a big birthday. I was actually throwing myself a party. I've never thrown myself a party before. And it was like, oh gosh, can I afford it? Like, what did I plan this up? You know how they say in the Bible, don't step ahead of, what you've kind of budgeted or figured. I don't know if I did that, but I kind of knew that everything would be okay. And it did turn out okay. I did like this creative birthday kind of campaign on my Facebook, like, hey, I want 400 friends to give me $40 for my 40th birthday. Just kind of threw it out there for fun. And I was like, hey, I'll do business shout outs. I'm going to make a donation to my church. I'm going to do this, that, and the other. But I did find out through that post that there was some people who didn't really like the post that I asked for money on Facebook, and they treated me in a certain way that really hurt my feelings. And it was a lot of rejection that I had to deal with, like right after my birthday. I was also applying for this position within the community, and I didn't get it. And that hurt my feelings. And I was so hurt from the first one that I could barely deal with the second one. And I was just like, oh my God, is this what 40 is about? And I think I was basically trying to get my swagger back, right? Me and Pearl read a book called Swagger, where, you can't really just care as much about what people think about you and what their feelings are about what you do. And I would be lying if I didn't say it didn't hurt me that I got rejected and really bullied in a way. It hurt me a lot, but then I was able to reflect on it and decide that, Jorgie, you need to care less, honey. Not care at all, but you definitely need to care less. And it's okay. And a lot of times in business, you know how we talk about this whole target market? There's a target market out there that's for you. And then there's this other group that may not be for you. And you have to be okay with that. And it has caused me to kind of catapult into the people who I really want to help and leave behind the ones that don't need my help, and it was, I want to be liked by everybody, but everyone's not going to like you. So 40 has taught me that. 40 gave me a boot camp, guys. I never thought that somebody who I promoted, who I helped, who I filled up their women's organization could just push me away overnight for one thing and never even call me. It just didn't enter into my heart or my mind that something like that could happen. So it really did blow me. It was kind of like the shed. I never thought my husband would say, I want to be separated. And I surely never thought. And I think also when you live in a positive place and you live on a in a peaceful zone most of the life. When things come to disrupt you and shock you, you have to remember reality. Like, this is real life, Jorgie. Like, be positive, but also remember there's some real things that happen. And I think that my trials came to get me back to my why. I definitely am not called to certain groups, and that's okay with me now.
I think that brings up a great point, because, you and I, we've talked about this at the retreats and other, get-togethers, even with your Gold Girls. We talked about how people are in our lives in a season, right? They're a season. They're there for a season, and then for whatever reason, they just need to be out. And I mean, I went through that this year too. I had a traumatic, I lost a really close friend. I had to break that tie because of some decisions and choices that they making that totally went against what I believed ethically. And so sometimes we have to do that. And like you said, surrounding yourself with those people that are positive, that, bring you joy to your life. That's really what, going forward, that's what it's, is important in our lives, to make sure we're surrounded by those positive people that can empower us, and are examples of, our success. So, I mean, our month's not even over. You're not even 40 for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you've learned some quick, valuable lessons in there, right?
Oh man. Oh yeah. It's a boot camp over here. But I'm getting stronger and I'm getting better. And I just definitely believe that all of this is going to really help other people too. And so I'm excited about sharing. And I think a lot of the things that come our way as rejection are meant to keep us quiet, to keep us ashamed. And that's the opposite of what you have to let it do to you. You have to let it be like this fuel to elevate you to be a better person, to be a better, citizen, or whatever it is that you are striving for in your life. And that's what I want these obstacles of rejection or being cast aside or whatever that was, to make me use my superpower as an includer to help the people who want to be included, the people who want to avoid those type of pains and struggles and things like that. So
I think you have some powerful lessons that are going to come out of this birthday month of yours. So I just love it. I can't believe how many people have birthdays that you and I both know in the month of October.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what's happening in January and all that around the world around our time.
Happy New Year's.
Or something. Yeah, exactly. Happy New Year.
Valentine's Day. I'm trying to think, but yeah,
something like that. So we're going to do something here. You and I both know Carol Gill.
Yes.
Carol has done these. You guys, if you've been listening to my podcast, we do this every time I do a podcast. We have our Better Questions, Better Life. I get paid nothing to promote, but if you want these cards, go to betterquestionsbetterlife.com. They're amazing cards. They're just made to help you journal, help you meditate, give you something to think about. Great conversations. Jorgie's brought them to some of her network things. We've had conversations around it. So I think they're great for our young girls, our young adult boys. I think they would be really powerful to have conversations, like a question that says, what if my inner voice is right? Those are some of the things. What is success? Like, just imagining, who is important to me. We've had some of those conversations today. Think about, if you had to journal or meditate around those questions, what would it mean to you? What are your answers? And so I love these cards. There's a really good big group of cards here. Like I said, Carol's put these together. You have a deck of cards as well, and I know you've given away. I've done the same thing. And Carol and her friend Diane Allen. I want to give Diana a shout out too.
Yeah. She's amazing.
They both created these cards together. Again, they're called Better Questions, Better Life. You can get them at betterquestionsbetterlife.com. But so what I always do at the end of the podcast, since we start to close out, I'm so appreciative of you being on today with us, Jorgie, and your story that you shared from shedding, and then your beautiful girls sharing them with us. You've got some fun things coming up. So this isn't Jorgie's last time being on our podcast. So she goes through the next phase. We're going to have her back again. But I want to, what we're going to do, Jorgie, is I'm going to hold these out and you're going to tell me when to stop.
Okay.
And when I stop, whatever card's in the bottom, you're going to answer that question. Okay. All right. So here we go. Tell me when to stop.
All right. Stop.
All right, let's see what your question is. Ooh. Wow. Okay, so this is really good after what we've been discussing today. Where are my choices leading me? So where are your choices leading you, Jorgie?
My choices are leading me to kind of like a solid rock, like stability for me and my family, courageous moves that would lay the foundation for my future. And I'm also following my heart. So my choices are leading me to be more true to myself. Like, what do I really want to do in that moment? And not caring so much about what everybody else thinks, just doing what I want to do. But everyone does have an opinion. So my choices are probably not going to be the common opinion.
And that's okay, because that's, you mentioned the book Swagger. That's what Swagger's about, is being your authentic self, right? Mm-hmm. And so I just love that. That's a great book. If you're listening, go get the book Swagger. We did our whole Shiro a couple months around that book. So it's a great book. And I even taught it in a network group. So it's a pretty powerful book. So I want to thank you, Jorgie. Before we close out, I would like you to share with everybody how can they find you? What's your social media handles? What's your website?
Okay, so everything is pretty much GeorgieInc.com, Jorgie Inc. on Facebook and Instagram. And then you can also go to Jorgie Franks. So that is me in the nutshell. You'll be able to Google me and see all my thoughts and videos and everything. And if you want to talk to me, just call me. I do a 15-minute free consultation and my phone number, like 813-239-4681. And you can call me, and I spend time talking to my friends. Like I talk to people all the time just because I care. And that's what it's all about. You got to be out here caring for people.
Thank you so much, Jorgie. It's been an awesome pleasure having you on my podcast. Finally, I'm glad we connected our schedules together. And so those of you that are listening, remember Jorgie Inc. You can go there, Jorgie Inc. on social media. We'll also put it on the podcast so everybody can find it. We'll be on YouTube as well at Conversations with Pearl. And so just a little bit of what's happening upcoming with us is we, as Jorgie mentioned, we do retreats. So what's upcoming for Women's Successful Living? I just love Jorgie's cup. So if you come to the retreat, you might get a little goodie like Jorgie's cup there. Thanks, Jorgie. But we have, I've been doing the retreats now for 5 years. Next year will be year 6. And I've had many women say, these are so powerful. Can you do it with my daughter? So we are going to do a mother-daughter PJ retreat in May of 2022. So it will be the weekend after Mother's Day weekend so that everybody can spend time with the moms. But then the moms are going to bring their daughters Friday evening. It's going to be Friday till Sunday. So it's going to be in May. Let me get you the date while I'm saying this all out loud. But
so excited.
It's going to be awesome. So it's going to be May of 2022. It will be May 13th through the 6th through the 15th. So you'll arrive Friday evening in your PJs. We have an amazing house that's going to be available to us. And we're going to do things with our moms and daughters together. And we're also going to separate and do some things separately. And we're going to do some things around understanding each other's personality, communication. We're going to talk about budgeting. We're going to have conversations and understanding, mom's personality versus daughter's personality. The ideal age for the girls to come is going to be that 16 years and older will be the ideal age to come. So they might be, that high school to early college age. But again, it's the same thing. PJs, no makeup. So the young girls might affect the young girls more than the moms, right? Because they love their
you need to stretch that to 14.
Oh, 14. Well, 14's a good age. Yeah. So, okay. So you just convinced me. 14.
Maya's birthday is May 12th.
Oh,
and she turns 14.
Oh, okay. So we got to have Maya there. So yeah. So we'll do like the 4th. That's a good age too. Cause what grade is she in?
She'll be in 9th grade.
Yeah. So the freshman, that's what I will hit. Thank you. It's my kids.
She'll be Yeah, she'll be finishing her 8th grade and she'll graduate to ninth
rising freshman. Okay, gotcha.
rising freshman.
Yeah. So again, if you're listening, it's going to be Women's Successful Living Moms and Daughters PJ Retreat that May 13th through May 15th. We are going to have a cook-off between the daughters and the moms. They're going to get the same ingredients and they got to create their own meal with those ingredients. So the mothers and daughters are going to compete against one another. So we'll have all the daughters together, all the moms together. We're going to do some fun activities. We're going to do, like I said, we're going to do some things separately. We're going to bring us together. We're going to talk about things like what I love about you, what I wish about you, so that felt love. We're going to talk about that. I feel this way when you speak to me like this. So I felt this way. We're going to have positive things. We're going to just make it a safe space to have conversations and really empower our girls that mom is not somebody you should be afraid of to come talk to. She's got so much information, so much wisdom from everything from boys to careers, right? So we're going to talk about that. So if you're listening and you want information on that, we will have it up on wsliving.com, but you can also reach out to me at pearl@wsliving.com and we will share that information with you. So lots of fun things like you, Jorgie's coming up on the horizon. So I'm really excited about it. We're only going to keep it to 10 mom and daughters. We're going to keep it small and we're going to have a lot of fun. I think it's going to be really powerful. So I'm excited about sharing it. So if you're listening, go get pearl@wsliving.com or go to wsliving.com and find out all the information you want to know. So again, Jorgie, thank you for being our guest. We've enjoyed having you, Jorgie with Jorgie Inc. And you have been listening to Conversations with Pearl. And I want to remind you to go out and find your inner pearl of greatness. Have a great day.